Right, hi there, guys. Welcome to our KJ kill. I decided to do a bit of commentary over it, just because it's a complicated fight and it quite a lot of pulls. I think we got it in 412 pulls in total by the end. Um, but we got there eventually, finally, after getting very frustrated with it. To be fair, it was after the Armageddon Rain nerf came in, so now there's only one. Allows you to only take two tanks, which makes the whole thing a lot simpler. As we go into phase one, I mean, it seems a bit complicated to start with, but you get to a point where you've done it that many times that it just becomes very boring, and people die from lack of concentration. Which it can be an absolute pain, but you can't afford to be using reses in this phase, and you just learn to dodge these, learn to dodge the orbs, learn to just nuke him down and push him in the same kind of ways you always push him. So Tankhead will be coming out soon. You've got to make sure you soak properly, but it's all basic stuff that you should be used to at this point. Obviously, Bloodlust on the pull, so you can use it later in the final phase. Cooldowns on pull just to make that push a bit simpler. Focus this Tankard. It's perfectly do it. You'll see I'm using Divine Storm because we were easily getting it down in time and it would just allow a bit of cleave damage on KJ at the same time. Um, but nice weak aura there for all the knockbacks. I'd definitely recommend that. Very, very useful. Um, and there we go into phase two. All I'll say is our comp was originally warrior tank, druid tank, but we swapped the warrior tank out for a DK tank purely because the DK is invaluable in the darkness phase. You'll see when we get there, it's just absolutely just like nothing compares, just because it makes it trivializes the whole phase. We went 4 healers, definitely take a paladin healer just because it again he can solo heal the healing ads basically with the right cooldowns. Druid healer, he always complained about being useless, but is very useful at certain parts like the final phase and this intermission phase. And then Disc Priest was useful, and we just had a good Holy Priest, so we brought him along. DPS, I'd recommend taking as many ranged as possible. We had a few melee in it, kind of caused a bit of issues with the soaks because the melee can't be pre-spread for them, etc. Whereas and it can lead to kind of some last-minute panics or you missing some soaks. The other weak aura that we all had that we'd recommend is this. You'll see in slash say people are spamming dot if they've already got a dot. That basically means you can see easily when the soaks are coming on if somebody near you has a dot and whether you should take it instead of them. But we also have the rogues who have feint, and basically they have priority over everybody. So they have a macro saying GTFO or rogue soaking or whatever, something like that, basically to say move out the way, I'm soaking, because they can take 3 in a row and cloak off the stacks. So it was just trivializes it again. Uh, going into phase Going into phase two, you'll notice I pop wings because it would mean I'd have them back for the DPS ads. We go full nuke. Again, dots coming in. I'd use my bubble on this knockback purely just because I have my wings here, and it would allow me to go into and help soak the focus Dreadflame straight afterwards. So there it is. I mean, I don't actually soak the focus Dreadflame, but oh well. You'll notice we had somebody die there. That was purely just a lack of concentration, died to the knockback, just got knocked off by that knockback. It slightly bogged out the focus Dreadflame because he was the one focused by it, and you'll know it at the last second, it flicked to where his body spawned, so that nearly killed a few other people, but we kind of got a bit lucky there and it didn't. But it's just easy to show like how one lapse of concentration just can be a huge setback. But as a result, we basically didn't. We were 19 manning it from this point out, just because it's not a DPS push. You'll notice just before the darkness phase, we stopped DPS entirely anyway. But we take down the tankard and move on. Again, we always use the tankard to dispel and trivialize and knockback. I know some of the earlier guilds were kind of saying we use warlock portals and things, but you don't need that at all. you can do it without any portals or rocket jumps. Of course, it makes it a lot easier, but you'll notice, well, I'm a paladin and I did it completely fine. I know DKs might have it slightly worse, but I didn't have anything to trivialise a knockback for me. And you just have to get there and get used to it. Anyway, slowly push it through phase 2. Again, you'll learn it, but it's quite simple once you know how to deal with all the tactics. This third tank ad is you deal with it a lot slower. The knockback's further out, so you don't want to leave the dot on the tank for ages. So you just kind of keep doing the tactics, keep soaking, keep doing what you're doing. That Sorrowful Whale can hurt a lot your melee. Now we had problems with a shaman dying to it, but everybody else seemed to be able to tank it if they were topped. But it's worth noting, if you can't tank it, you're gonna need to move out for it. It's just the way it is. As we move in, I pop wings ready to go into the DPS ads, because if I pop them early, it means I have it back up for darkness phase. So going full nuke, waiting for those DPS ads, and here comes the Armageddon. We had a backup for the big soak on this one, because in case Valzy, who was taking the big soak with his turtle, got the debuff for the DPS ads, then he wouldn't be able to take it. So we had 1 or 2 backups just on that one alone, just because it was needed. Anyway, we carry on. The moon ad, this one we were killing him basically just to get rid of the third set of orbs. It just made it a lot simpler at this point, with a bursting dread flame coming in and everything like that. We did play around with having a resto shaman and having a res totem up, but in the end we had them just jumping off the end for the kill. Just because in our final comp we didn't have that. There was a little talk there about who we were going to get up there, because we had 2 reses, and it's never worth resing a DPS as your last res. It just isn't on this fight. You don't need the DPS, but we wanted Hazel up because he's taking one of the orbs in phase 3, and here we are. We're in this phase where we just stop in DPS. So I decided to do a bit of off healing. I noticed the tanks are a bit sketchy at this point, just purely because our Holy Paladin has got his beacons on the healing ads at this point, which means the tanks are a bit more susceptible. So just a few flashes of light helped, and we did have the tanks die a couple of times at this point. So a few flash of lights can make all the difference. You never know. So especially when you're not doing anything else. And here we go, pushing it, and it's about to go. There it is. And you'll watch out for the blood DK, big mass grip in, followed by the Druid Typhoon, circle pull in straight afterwards. It just keeps them permanently bunched. This is when I pop my second pop with wings, just because I know I could run it into the phase 3 as well after we killed them. So it'd be nuke. This first knockback could be coming from square, the second one would come from cross. But you'll see I bubble this one just so I can carry on wings on the boss, and it also bubbled this first darkness, which was a very sketchy time. You had to make sure you had either a Spirit Link or a Dispriest Barrier or something like that for it, because it ran the risk of one-shotting people if you weren't careful. We only got to phase 3 less than 10 times, I think, and actually with a full group like this, less than 5 sort of thing. So it's easy to panic at this point. We had Spores or Resto Druid marking safe spots for us at this point, which is a square. So I clear the marks for all the other marks, so we could clearly see that. Rogues and Demon Hunters were very good at kiting the orb, but Hunters were particularly good at taking the third one, just because they could immune the knockback that comes at the same time. We're very much kind of focusing, and we kind of just push it out to the end. We lose a tank there, which this is why we have a backup res. And there we go. We lose another tank, and that was a bad flaming orb, but we play around it, you play with it, and you keep going. I'll phase myself out chatting now, and leave you to listen to the game chat for the last bit of chat.
Get ready to run in.
Just tanks out. That's it.
We need a lot of people.
Just tanks out.
Get in. Oh my god, that's covered.
Italy, this is your orb.
Alright.
It's 4, so.
Find the safe spot in 2.
Please stay
And
away from the
remember
orbs, guys.
first thing. Find the safe spot, find the safe spot. Bursting first, get ready to run onto the safe spot. On. Get ready to run out. All out.
Bloodlust.
Get bloodlust up and
Time walk.
I'm dead.
any bloodlust. Greg now, oh he's dead. Help Barry. Barry call out. Out. Barry call out if you need help again.
Bait next.
Right, bait, find the safe spot and bait. Do not stand on the square,
Stay away from it.
On now. Okay, go, out. Keep Barry up. How are you doing, Barry?
I'm fine.
Okay, keep focus,
Away with bursting.
Incoming darkness next. Just keep focus up. Pop any defensives on the darkness. Get ready. Go in. And out. Alright. How are you doing, Barry?
I'm fine.
See the next orb.
I resetted my file text there, so don't worry.
Good. Alright, so keep up the focus, guys. Nuke.
Relax,
Just
stay
nuke.
calm.
Just kill it. Just kill it. Don't do anything. Just kill it.
Don't get knocked off.
No. Just kill it. You have time. Just kill it.
Oh my god.
Kill it.
Yes!
Fuck yes!
Fuck yes! Oh!
Good job. There was no fucking safe spot. That was absolutely fucking.
Oh my god!
You have to kill it.
Oh
It was safe,
Jesus
man.
fucking Christ!
Yeah,
Oh.
but space. That's why I have to kill it right there.
God, dude.
Good job,
guys.
guys.
Well done.
Man.
Boys! Fuck yeah, dude.
I'm so watching the fighting cinematic.
Can somebody, like, surface and
Oh,
blessing?
nice.
I think a couple of them were watching in my stream, to be honest.
Yeah, man, you're watching all the way.
Holy shit, Greg.
Ooh, a spectre.
Please get the fuck out the loot thing, please.
I'm gonna spam click.
Yeah, out of the loot.
Can I get that spectre, please, for Feral?